Good afternoon and welcome to this live video interview with Zinzino following the Q2 report released this morning. My name is Niklas Elmhammer from Carlsquare, and we are very pleased to be joined today by the CEO of Zinzino, Dag Bergheim Pettersen. But before we begin, I would like to invite for questions, and you can submit the questions via the chat function. So please don't hesitate to send in as many questions as you like. So I would like to turn now to you, Dag. Welcome. Great to have you here again with us.
Thank you for having me.
So Zinzino released its report today. On the face of it, it looks quite similar to the Q1 report regarding growth and profit. But I guess that's only part of the story. So I would like to ask you to provide your comments on today's report.
So we're pleased, as you mentioned, the growth. We're pleased with the profits. We're very pleased with the activity that we are showing in the full year or the first half of the year in Q2. We have acquired and done a lot of investments. We have opened a couple of new markets. So that is, there are great things happening on the growth sector, and we are investing in both tech. We are investing in some new products. And as I mentioned, some mergers and acquisitions have turned out. So we are, according to the plan, I would say in most of the cases, a little bit above the plan when it comes to the growth. But the negative sides, I would say, with the growth sometimes could be that you are putting a lot of effort and initiatives and resources and some money as well, I would say, into the growth will be, allocated in the Q2, but also in the Q1. But happy and pleased with most of the things that are happening at Zinzino at the moment.
So 57% growth despite currency headwinds, and if I estimate correctly, about 47% organic growth or something like that.
I think that might be correct. It's a little bit depending on how you calculate, but the latest three acquisitions are adding some growth figures. So you are probably correct. Some of the acquisitions are turning into organic growth with selling a lot of our own products. So we do a different way of calculations when we look through this over years. But I'm happy and pleased with the organic growth on top of the merger and acquisitions growth. Yes.
So I know we ask this question every time now, but what is the explanation for the really strong growth?
I think you need to go back a year, maybe, or 2 years and 3 years, and maybe even a decade. So we were struggling 10, 11 years ago with our tech side. And we decided that we needed to put a lot of effort into upgrading and updating our tech side. So we've done, over the last 10 years, lots of different upgrades on the tech side. That has given us what I called a system platform. So one of the reasons why we can do all of these mergers and acquisitions is just because we have the platform and the system to take them on board in our system without too much of a problem, I would say. We have invested like in payment gateways. I think we have like 4 or 5 different payment gateways. When you are working in a global market, you need to make sure that the payments are going well. Then on top of that, with some of the mergers and acquisitions, but also internally, have we done a lot of investments on product development. We started 13 years ago by acquiring a company. We acquired a factory which had like 5,000 recipes for products. We have a very disruptive test, and we have expanded that offer. So we have been growing like silently with over the last 10 years, and we've accumulated that. Then in our space of indirect sales, we have done a lot of good changes. So the partners in the field that are working together with us have the ability to also own shares in Zinzino, which brings a lot of loyalty, and it brings a long-term culture. And that kind of culture are getting wings when we are delivering the products at time. We have a lot of good development, and we have a tech side that is working. So we are honestly, I would say, scaling on behalf of the investments and the things that we did 5 years ago and 10 years ago. And we take some advantages of that today. So of course we can do a lot of things inside a year, but a lot of people underestimate what you can do on long term, or maybe on short term, I mean, and you overestimate what you can do on a long term. So I am truly happy with what we have achieved, and I think that having a growth in the end of the year of 50% is more than what I can dream of, and also super happy to have that kind of growth. And it costs some money to have that kind of growth, doing all the initiatives that we are doing.
Yeah, you mentioned products and brands, and you've been quite active in acquiring brands. So how important is the acquired brands for your sales?
It depends. Like in US, one of the brands coming from Cervida, which will be soon in a Zinzino suit, are the main product coming from that segment of sales. So that's going to be super important. We acquired a French company last year called Celis. They had 2 products that are now probably number 6 and 7 in the range of sold products at Zinzino, with good cost of goods. And then we are also dismissing a lot of products that is not fitting our, I would say, base of products or philosophy. So we do a little bit of both. But the flagship and I mean the top 4 products at Zinzino are still Zinzino products. We have a health concept, and it's so strong, so it's hard to climb to be number 2, 3, or 1. So it is important, but to a certain extent. But the main reason for us to keep some of the products is to make sure that the distributor base and the customer base on those products are happy that we are continuing with those products. But you should not continue with all products. So it's a very hard and defined balance that we are working, I would say, weekly on maneuvering.
So could you provide us an estimate of how important the top products are in terms of your sales?
Yeah, I see the balance concept is probably about 50% of the total sales. We have 2 other products. I would say that they are probably containing around, or segments. So the top 4 products stands for about 75 to 80% of the total sales. They come in a little bit of different variations and flavor, but that is the main top sellers. So we have an 80-20 rule, as many other companies have. So it's about 4 different products or 4 different segments of products. But the world might change a little bit inside Zinzino. I mentioned the last year's acquisition of Celis in France, and we also announced a part-time ownership in an algae factory down in Spain, which are now producing spirulina and soon will be producing algae omega-3 oils. That would change some of our initiatives. That would change, I would say, also the omega-3 industry if we can scale up the business that they are doing, and we will do that in partnership with that company. So that came out in July, the announcement of that acquisition. And it's a brilliant product, a brilliant concept, and an extremely unique concept with lots of different patents, which we are super proud of to join. And then we didn't invent that ourselves. We were luckily acquiring a company and got in touch with them and act on that opportunity.
Okay, great. That's very clear. And related maybe to that, how confident are you with the strong growth in securing sufficient capacity and supply?
It's a good question. So we probably hold at the moment goods for about 7 to 8 months, depending on which warehouse we are talking about across the world. We have secured the main products, the main ingredients. We are owning a factory, so we have direct access to suppliers. So at the moment, things are very good and very calm. The fisheries in certain markets is now good, so they show good numbers on that. And also the olive oil, which we had some issues with like 3 years ago, are now producing pretty good, and it shows that it's going to be a good harvest. As you probably remember, we acquired half of an olive oil factory down at Cyprus, and they show a really good faith in the harvesting this year. So we have ingredients probably for a year, and we have end product in the storage of over a half a year, about 7 to 8 months in storage. And that is going to give us plenty of time to produce and act on that. And then we can diversify with focus on different products in addition. So we are very much in our own hands when it comes to production and sales.
Okay, good. We have a question here from the viewers. Michael Scher says, will you launch a new product for the gut in connection with your launch of the gut test in Q4?
Sounds like an internal candidate who asked that question. First, we haven't launched a gut test. Number two, we have a product that are doing an amazing thing for the gut. And that is probably the second or the third largest product that we have in our portfolio, called the Xenobiotic Plus. So this guy needs to wait until we have our major Big Bang event in the second weekend of October. So he needs to be patient, or she.
Okay, and going back a little bit on the sales and growth, is there any regional development that you would like to highlight here?
Yeah, almost everyone are performing pretty good. We've had a high growth to start with the region of eastern part of Europe, where we have a minus accumulated 1%. I am pleased because we have grown there for like 3 to 4 years, and we are tremendously well in that market region. But all the other regions are having a plus factor. Even in the Nordics, we have a double-digit growth, and we are probably one of the top 3 at least in our industry in the Nordics. So our home base, are we doing good? And in the Baltics, we're probably number 1, and we are growing steady in the Americas, steady in Asia, really good in Asia, I would say. And with Cervida, we are doing really good in USA and Mexico and North America. And in south of Europe, we are doing fantastic. But of course, our proudest market or region are Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. That is the big train in our family of growth when it comes to numbers and figures, and numbers of new customers is just through the roof amazing. So I'm happy with all markets, honestly. although they are a little bit of a different cycle, to put it like that.
Yeah, Asia, as you said, it's growing at a breakneck pace. And regarding that, can you comment on the China rollout and the model for that market? What are your expectations?
Yeah. We have very humble expectations of China. China is a hard market to dig into, and there is a lot of things you can do, I would say, with failure. So we've been into China market for 5 years through Hong Kong, and that didn't work like totally perfect. So we changed the model to more like an e-commerce model, which is a little bit different from the model we're using in the rest of the world, where we are extremely customer based. So it's a little bit too early to say either that or this, but it's a good start. We are going to focus more when everything is tested enough, sold enough, and it's going to be a soft start for us. But if you look at Taiwan for Asia, we are exploding. I think in Q2 they are about 5th or the 6th largest market, and if you go back a year, it was like a number 20. So it's really rapidly growing. We are doing a lot of leaps in a difficult market like India. So that has been growing pretty fast, but we are happy with the soft kind of touch for us in Malaysia and in Australia and New Zealand. So we have patience to work through these markets, and we added the Philippines to the last market in that region of APAC before we entered New Zealand in the beginning of the year. But I believe that Asia is going to be strong. That's my point. And you cannot just be strong in one market. You need to be kind of good in many markets to really have growth also in China, because they are connected with Hong Kong and Taiwan and even Malaysia and Australia. So the Chinese market is very connected with where the population of the Chinese is living.
Okay, thank you. And we have some questions regarding costs. OPEX increased quarterly and year over year, up roughly 50%. Is it possible to pinpoint if there are sort of one-off costs included here? You mentioned already in the report currency translation, but sort of acquisition costs that are one-off here?
Some of them are one-off, and some of them are kind of time limited. So they could be one on 2 years and 3 years. So then they are going from X to probably 0. There is on the OPEX side, we have some investments on new product and product development. We have some costs in opening up new markets and the setup and consultants. We have costs related to operationals. So, and then you have operating costs that is connected to the growth. Like when you have more transactions for payment, there is a part of percentage of that goes to that, or delivery and shipping that goes along and dragged along together with the growth on the top line. Where we can really differentiate will be to scale and not use so much money on internal cost and some of the OPEX costs. So without promising too much, but if we just stopped our development and just focus on profitability, we could probably increase that with quite a significant number, to put it like that. But we're not that kind of company. We would like to grow. We have an ambition of having 100 million customers in 2050, 20 million customers in 2035. So we have ambitions that is much higher than that. But we want to have a profitable growth, which means that we can also next year pay out dividends. That's important for us. But we also need to have money to the investments on IT, as I talked about, on products, also on IT and tech and new markets. and mergers and acquisitions.
So is it fair to assume that it was a bit of a spike in Q2 for OPEX, or is it the same pace going for the rest of the year?
I think the costs are reflecting all the initiatives that we are doing. But I could, on a personal note, I always love to earn a little bit more money, but that it's a balance between all the initiatives, all the things that we do. We could probably save some costs in some markets that we have been aggressive on getting new customers, and we are taking actually some. We're doing some changes towards that. So there are some markets that we have been a little bit having struggles with, to put it like that, and we are closing some of that costs. So hopefully you will see both in Q3 and Q4 that we will have strong growth and strong profits. That's what we aim for and forecast for.
Okay, so how confident are you in reaching your margin target of 10% for the year?
Oh, I'm pretty confident on that.
Yeah, good. So we should mention cash flow as well. I mean, it was strong, and I believe an important strength in your business model.
It is. But it's based on the same structure that we've had over the years. So we are trying to be cautious on spending money and building money. But one of the benefits that we have is that most of the customers, or every customer that buys product for us, pay pre-handed before we deliver. So we have very low problems on that. The only problem we can have is when we are selling something from the factory, where we could have more delays on payments. But like 96% of the business is prepaid before we're delivering. So that gives a lot of cash flow, positive.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. Maybe on another subject, earlier this month, your shares took a hit on media reports that Zinzino is scrutinized by Swedish authorities for marketing its products in a misleading manner, and also facing potential fines, according to media. Could you comment on these reports?
Yeah. So first, you could say I'm impressed with the share price increase from maybe April and May towards today. So I think that Zinzino shares is one of the probably the hardest thing to talk about for me, because we're going to be a little bit volatile, in my opinion, because we could be shorted suddenly. So there has been a lot of short positions at Zinzino. So that has an impact in the share price. We have a lot of happy buyers also, so not only people that are selling. We have gotten over the last 2 years a lot of new investors that have taken some profits on selling the shares. So what I would like to say is that the article in itself, we went back. We have not gotten any fine, so we were getting that updated. That's for sure. Second thing is that all the things that goes for the regulatory, it's normal for us every year to go through with the regulators. They always have they are sometimes changing some of the rules, and we are working together with them on compliance and on all the different works. And we do that. That's a regular kind of work for us to do. So when an article talk about that, it sounds like it is more serious than maybe what it is, because we have answered up all that different questions, and we do that, and we will always follow the laws and the regulations and the rules that we are set to follow. So when the share price is dropping, I see a couple of things. I see a lot of shareholders who are selling because they're thinking that they want to take the profits. I also believe that there's a lot of new short positions coming in at the same day. And the only kind of question I have is that it's a little bit strange that it happens at the same time. But I don't want to speculate too much in that. My job is to put all my effort into building a great company for now and for the future. A company that could be sending a dividend to our shareholders. So what I normally do when my daughter is complaining that her shares in Zinzino has been falling and she have lost money, I tell her, don't look at the share price. Don't watch the share price. Think of when you're going to receive the dividend next year and the year after that. So that is what the only thing I can work on, and it's to make a great company that are profitable and can pay out dividend. And the share price lives its own life outside my control on a daily work.
Okay, great. I guess we have covered a lot of topics, and it's probably time to wrap things up. So thank you, Dag, for taking the time and effort for taking our questions. And as always, very exciting to learn about the progress. And thanks again. And
thank you for having me.
And thanks also to all the viewers for listening in, and hope we'll see you soon again.